Imagine hearing an explosion so powerful that people nearly 5,000 kilometers away thought a war had begun. Windows rattled, buildings shook. Sailors believed giant cannons were firing somewhere beyond the horizon, but there were no battles, no bombs, no weapons. The sound came from a small volcanic island in what is now Indonesia. On August 27, 1883, the volcano Krakatoa erupted with unimaginable force, producing what is widely regarded as the loudest sound ever recorded in modern history. The explosion was heard across an entire ocean. It destroyed most of the island. It triggered massive tsunamis. It changed the Earth's climate. And it reminded humanity that nature is capable of forces far beyond anything we can create. This is the incredible true story of the loudest sound our planet has ever produced. Long before disaster struck, Krakatoa appeared peaceful. It was a small volcanic island located in the Sunda Strait between the islands of Java and Sumatra. To passing sailors, it was just another lush tropical island. But beneath its surface, enormous forces were constantly at work. Krakatoa sits on one of the most active tectonic boundaries on Earth. Here, the Indo-Australian plate slowly slides beneath the Eurasian plate. As one plate sinks deep into the Earth, intense heat melts the surrounding rock, creating magma. Over time, that magma rises toward the surface. This process has formed hundreds of volcanoes across Indonesia, creating one of the most geologically active regions on the planet. For centuries, Krakatoa erupted from time to time, but by the late 19th century, pressure had been building beneath the island for years. No one knew that one of history's greatest natural disasters was about to unfold. In May 1883, local residents began noticing strange changes. The volcano awakened. Ash clouds rose thousands of meters into the sky. Loud booming sounds echoed across nearby islands. Ships sailing through the Sunda Strait reported ash falling onto their decks. At night, sailors watched glowing lava light up the horizon. These were all warning signs. Fresh magma was forcing its way upward. As it rose, trapped volcanic gases increased the pressure inside the mountain. Small eruptions released some of that pressure, but not enough. With every passing day, more magma accumulated beneath the volcano. The Earth itself was preparing for an event unlike anything modern civilization had ever witnessed. The morning of August 27, 1883 seemed ordinary. Then, at around 5:30 a.m., Krakatoa erupted violently. A tremendous explosion echoed across the surrounding islands. Less than an hour later, another blast followed, then another. Each explosion grew stronger than the one before. Finally, at 10:02 a.m., the volcano unleashed its most powerful eruption. In just a few moments, an enormous amount of energy, estimated to be equivalent to hundreds of megatons of TNT, was released. Much of the island simply collapsed. The volcano literally blew itself apart. A towering column of ash and volcanic debris shot nearly 80 kilometers into the atmosphere. Within minutes, daylight turned to darkness across nearby communities. Ash began falling like black snow. People hundreds of kilometers away believed the end of the world had arrived. But the most extraordinary part of the disaster had only just begun. The eruption generated an enormous shockwave that raced through Earth's atmosphere. It was unlike anything scientists had ever documented. Sailors aboard ships approximately 60 kilometers from the volcano suffered severe hearing damage. Some reported permanently ruptured eardrums. Barometers around the world recorded a sudden jump in atmospheric pressure. Then, hours later, they recorded it again. The shockwave had traveled around the planet. Scientists later confirmed that it circled the Earth multiple times before gradually fading. The sound itself reached astonishing distances. People in Perth, Australia, more than 3,000 kilometers away, reported hearing what sounded like distant artillery fire. Even more remarkably, residents on the island of Rodrigues, nearly 4,800 kilometers away in the Indian Ocean, also heard the explosion. Few could believe that a volcanic eruption had produced a sound capable of crossing an entire ocean. To this day, Krakatoa remains widely regarded as producing the loudest sound ever documented in modern history. But surprisingly, the sound wasn't the deadliest part. The eruption displaced billions of tons of seawater almost instantly. That sudden movement created enormous tsunamis that raced across the Sunda Strait. Some waves rose more than 30 meters high, about the height of a 10-story building. Entire coastal villages disappeared within minutes. Harbors were destroyed. Large ships were lifted from the sea and thrown far inland. Thousands of families had no warning. The water arrived too quickly. By the end of the disaster, more than 36,000 people had lost their lives, with the vast majority killed by the tsunamis rather than the volcanic eruption itself. For those who survived, the nightmare continued. Ash blanketed farmland. Fresh water became contaminated. Entire communities were left struggling to rebuild. Yet Krakatoa's destruction did not end in Indonesia. Its ash would spread around the world. Its shockwave would continue circling the planet, and its effects would change Earth's climate for years to come. Those global consequences would make Krakatoa far more than just another volcanic eruption. It became one of the most influential natural events in recorded history. Coming next, how one volcano changed the weather, painted skies across the world, and transformed the way scientists study our planet. The loudest sound ever recorded. Krakatoa's destruction didn't end when the explosion stopped. In many ways, its greatest impact was only beginning. The eruption blasted enormous amounts of volcanic ash and sulfur dioxide high into the atmosphere. The ash plume reached nearly 80 kilometers, while fine particles spread through the upper atmosphere and traveled around the globe. Unlike ordinary clouds that disappear within days, these tiny particles remained suspended for months, and some for years. They reflected part of the sun's energy back into space. As a result, Earth's average temperature dropped by about 1.2 degrees Celsius over the following year. That may sound small, but for an entire planet, it was a remarkable change. People around the world experienced unusually cool weather. The explosion didn't just produce an incredible sound, it created one of the most powerful atmospheric shockwaves ever measured. As the pressure wave expanded outward, weather stations around the globe recorded sudden changes in air pressure. Then something extraordinary happened. Hours later, the same pressure wave returned. It had traveled around the Earth. Scientists later confirmed that the atmospheric wave circled the planet multiple times before finally fading away. Imagine throwing a pebble into a pond and watching the ripples spread outward. Now imagine those ripples traveling around an entire planet. That gives you an idea of the incredible power released by Krakatoa. Even today, scientists continue studying data from the eruption to better understand how volcanic explosions affect Earth's atmosphere. So, was Krakatoa truly the loudest sound ever recorded? Based on historical records, it is widely regarded as the loudest natural sound documented in modern history. At a distance of about 160 kilometers, the sound reached an estimated 172 decibels, far above the level capable of causing immediate hearing damage. Closer to the volcano, the sound would almost certainly have been even more intense. However, no instruments of the time could accurately measure such extreme sound levels near the eruption. What makes Krakatoa unique isn't just how loud it was, it's how far away people could still hear it. Very few natural events have ever been documented over such extraordinary distances. More than 140 years later, its eruption remains the benchmark against which other massive explosions are compared. Although much of Krakatoa was destroyed in 1883, its story wasn't over. Nature had already begun rebuilding. In 1927, sailors noticed steam rising from the sea where the volcano had once stood. Gradually, a new island emerged from beneath the ocean. Scientists named it Anak Krakatau, meaning child of Krakatoa. Over the decades, repeated eruptions caused the young volcano to grow larger. Today, Anak Krakatau remains one of Indonesia's most active volcanoes. In 2018, part of its volcanic cone collapsed into the sea, triggering another deadly tsunami. Although far smaller than the disaster of 1883, it served as a powerful reminder. The volcanic system beneath Krakatoa is still alive, and it continues to shape the landscape today. The eruption of Krakatoa transformed modern volcanology. Scientists learned how volcanic ash can influence global climate. They discovered how atmospheric pressure waves travel around the world. They gained a better understanding of volcanic tsunamis and the dangers they pose to coastal communities. Today, researchers monitor active volcanoes using satellites, GPS measurements, drones, seismic instruments, and gas sensors. While predicting the exact moment of an eruption remains impossible, modern technology provides valuable warning signs that help save lives. Many of those advances were inspired by lessons learned from disasters like Krakatoa. Sometimes history becomes humanity's greatest teacher. When people think about the most powerful events in history, they often imagine nuclear explosions or massive earthquakes. But long before modern technology existed, nature had already demonstrated what true power looks like. One volcanic eruption destroyed an island, created devastating tsunamis, sent shockwaves around the globe, changed Earth's climate, produced sunsets remembered for years, and generated the loudest sound ever recorded in modern history. It reminds us that despite all our technology, we still live on a dynamic planet that is constantly changing beneath our feet. More than 140 years have passed since Krakatoa erupted. Yet its story continues to inspire scientists, historians, and anyone fascinated by the incredible forces of nature. It wasn't simply the loudest sound ever heard. It was a moment that changed the world. A single eruption, a single island, a single day, with consequences felt across an entire planet. Perhaps the most remarkable part of this story isn't how loud the explosion was, it's that humanity continues to learn from it even today. Every earthquake we study, every volcano we monitor, every warning system we improve, builds on lessons from events like Krakatoa. The loudest sound in recorded history lasted only moments, but its legacy continues to echo through science more than a century later. Like, comment, and subscribe to FactPaced for daily fascinating facts and weekly long-form videos every Wednesday and Sunday. Question of the day. If you could safely witness one historic natural event from a distance, what would you choose? The eruption of Krakatoa, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, or something else entirely? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next fact-paced documentary.